The former military defense attorney, he now works in private practice. And Greg, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
There's so many disturbing aspects to this story. You know, this poor woman is talking to her husband via Skype. He just collapses. She tries to call someone in Afghanistan using all sorts of sources that she has. It takes 2 hours for anyone to get to him to help. Why would that happen? Why would it take 2 hours?
Well, obviously, that's something that the military is going to need to look into, but I think part of the problem is the fact that he was 7,500 miles away. He was also in a smaller, isolated outpost. It's not as easy to get a message to help as it might seem. But I am sure that the Army will initiate a 15-6 investigation to try and get to the bottom of what took so long.
But even if he's in a remote location, he has other soldiers around him, right? Would he be bunking alone?
Oh, absolutely. But it depends on where he was Skyping from. If he was in his own housing compartment, you know, I think that's one of the questions that need to be answered. But it's not as easy as in the States of just dialing 911 and having help come. So
Mrs. Clark, she saw this bullet hole in a closet behind him, but there were no visible signs of injury on Captain Clark's body, at least according to the military. I guess an autopsy will be performed sometime this week.
Right.
What do you make of this? Is it just a non-combat related death and maybe he had a heart attack? I mean, what do you make of this?
Well, it's definitely an unfortunate situation, and yeah, it's a possibility that this captain had a heart attack, slumped over, and was the bullet hole there prior to this? I mean, he is in a combat zone. Is there the possibility that, and I think the bullet hole was in a closet, was there a discharge of a firearm before? I think everything has to be examined. Was it a bullet hole or was it shrapnel? Is there the possibility that it was a combat death? I think all of that does need to be looked into. And I'm sure that's why the Army has kind of been a little hushed up on this, is they need to do an autopsy to find out what the cause of death was.
And they'll do a thorough investigation because, I don't know, because
there'll be a 15-6 done.
So there will be, because, it took his wife 2 hours to find somebody to help her husband, so she might be a little suspect of what kind of investigation that will take place.
Right. I mean, I think the Army will do a thorough 15-6. I think that this is just, part of the tragedy of war, especially now with families being able to communicate real time. It's an unfortunate situation, and I think it needs to be looked at to what took so long for help to get there. But I'm assuming that the calls that they were making to Afghanistan had to be routed to the right people and then to get him help. So a lot of questions do need to be answered.
Greg Rinckey, thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. The Colombian woman in the middle